But I don't know anything about Africa. I've never been to Africa. I don't know the streets. I don't have any cousins. I don't know any friends. I know nothing about Africa. I was born, bred, raised right here in America. If you accept the handle of African American, that says that you don't accept being an American American.
So you mean to tell me the people in the diaspora who look the most like the African American, you have nothing to do with Africa genetically? It's ridiculous.
We did not all come from Africa. We all came from melanated people who were Africans, Europeans, Australians, Asians.
There have been black people on every inch of this planet since the beginning of this earth. You know, so we have to understand that and really do the research. And when you really do that research and you travel the world, you will see that. They put African to anything that's black, but that's not true.
Let me ask you a question. Are you African American or just American?
I'm not African American or just American.
What are you?
I'm a person of...
And I don't say African Americans. Please understand something. I don't condemn Africans. I don't criticize Africans. But I don't know anything about Africa. I've never been to Africa. I don't know the streets. I don't have any cousins. I don't know any friends. I know nothing about Africa. I was born, bred, raised right here in America. I am 100% American, and I am nothing else. I'm okay with that. You don't need to call me an African American. I don't need the prefix put on the front of who I am, because now you're trying to take away from my Americanism. So that's how I am. You may be different. That's fine. You want to chase your heritage in Africa? That's fine. I chase mine here in America because I see America from a different perspective now. I understand the importance of America and how great America is. That's why people are running here. I think that when they call black people who were born and raised for generations in this country, if you accept the handle of African American, that says that you don't accept being an American American. You don't accept being born in Chicago or New York or Detroit or wherever you were born. For generations, your family has been here, you know? Built this country too. Sweat and tears and all that, you know, fought in every war, okay? So this is my country here. So I don't want to be called African American. I'm an American American. My people have died and done everything for this country. Because right now in America, we have a ridiculous dialogue going on because there's some reactionary, self-hating Africans who are trying to convince other American Africans that they don't come from Africa, that they were already in America. They're positing that America, the American continent, was a cradle of civilization. Mind you, no scientific research at all backs this theory up. Okay.
Even Europeans can't dispute.
It's indisputable. The Chinese just came out last month. One of the top geneticists in China who now stated that the first ancestor, their first ancestor in China was an African, and every Chinese carries the DNA. The East Indians have already done this. Mexicans have done it. So you mean to tell me the people in the diaspora who look the most like the African American, you have nothing to do with Africa genetically? It's ridiculous.
We did not all come from Africa. We all came from melanated people who were Africans, Europeans, Australians, Asians. Science states that at one point there was Pangea, right? And all of the countries that were named by white people and given their titles by white people, but that's another story for a different video, were at 1.1 landmass, right? That doesn't mean that Africa was the only geographical space. It just means that all of the landmasses were one landmass, but Africa was still there. Europe was still there. North America, South America were still there. Asia was still there. Australia was still there. Antarctica was still there. You see what I'm getting at? These land masses still existed.
Recognize that this may be a hard concept for people to grasp because we have been brainwashed for so long and because our history is not told by the people that look like us, but melanated people were everywhere, on every continent. Meaning it is incorrect to say that everybody descended from Africa. That's not true.
Not all, but 98% of the so-called Africans that's in America are not African at all. We actually are indigenous to this land and we come from this land. So we have to quit acting like that all life started in Africa. No, all life stimulated everywhere. There have been black people on every inch of this planet since the beginning of this earth. So we have to understand that and really do the research. And when you really do that research and you travel the world, you will see that. When you go to Asia and you go to China, the first people there that are still there now that they have ran to the mountains was Asiatic so-called Africans. The only reason why they put African to anything that's black, but that's not true. That's not true. Matter of fact, if you go to Africa, most of your African tribes don't even call that land Africa. They have another name for it. So where do we get this name from? You start saying that these names are named after conquistadors or people that go on quest and take over things. So the reason why I say so-called African Americans, I say African Americans because we identify as that as black people in America. I say so-called because me personally, I am not an African. The indigenous people of European lands was called the Moors. They call it the Dark Ages. Why do they call it the Dark Ages? Because it was ran and controlled by dark people before white conquistadors came and became oppressors over that land. So everywhere on earth, even in Australia, you have the Aborigines. So everywhere you go on earth, there's a so-called black melanated being that originated there first. All life did not start in Africa.
I'm tired of being labeled. I'm an American. I'm not an African American. I'm an American.
Oh, girl, don't set up the Twitter on fire.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
My Lord. What did you just say? Stop the tape right now. Okay.
I will say this.
What?
I mean, I don't know where my roots go to. I don't know how far back they go. I can't go on, I don't know how far back, and I don't know what country in Africa I'm from. But I do know that my roots are in Louisiana. I'm an American. And that's a colorless person. Because we're all people. I have lots of things running through my veins.
I mean, you're going to get a lot of flack for saying you're not African American. You know that, right?
I don't label myself.
Okay. So I want you to say what you really mean by that.
What I really mean by that is I'm an American. That's what I really mean. I have darker skin. I have a nice, interesting grade of hair. I connect with Caucasian. I connect with Asian. I connect with Black. I connect with Indian. I connect with each culture.
You are a melting pot in one body.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
Isn't that what America's supposed to be?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
That's what it's supposed to be. I personally feel that way.
I'm not an African American. I'm an American. I was born on American soil. But I did go back to the motherland, and I love it. And made millions going back to the motherland. But I was born in America. When the Europeans came to the Native Americans, well, they like to call them Native Americans, but the Indians' land. We don't call them European Americans. So I don't want to be called an African American. I'm an American. You know what I'm saying? You can call me a Black American, but I'm an American. When I competed in the Olympics, they didn't say fighting an African American. They said that American that's fighting out of the red corner or out the blue corner. I love America. I love this country.
Let me ask you a question. Are you African American or just American?
I'm not African American or just American.
What are you?
I'm a person that lives in Florida.
What do you consider yourself today? Are you American? Are you African? Are you African American? What are you?
I'm an African raised in America. Clearly.
So you're not American?
I wish I was, but my mind is not American. It's clearly African.
But you have the accent. You have,
I went to school in America. All my whole earlier childhood, I was raised in Africa. Then I came to America. Every summer, we would go back to Africa for a vacation. And then when I graduated high school, it was a choice whether we wanted to go to Africa or stay in the U.S. And just the opportunities in the U.S. were so much greater than Africa.
Well, you're certainly the perfect example of the American dream coming true. And what would be your advice to a young African who's immigrating to the United States today?
Ultimately, you can't change who you are. And I think the biggest obstacle is that when people come to the U.S., they kind of alienate their original and they conform to what's there. And when you do that, first of all, you will never get accepted.
But isn't that the best way to integrate?
Absolutely not, because first of all, it's no way you can move forward and you're not you.
I don't think Africans should be calling themselves Black. We have the most genetic diversity in the African continent, and we're reducing it to a skin color. That's a mockery of us as an African peoples. I would rather us call each other with our tribes, actually, than with our skin color. Like, it just bases us all to one level when there's so much to learn from us. Our history, our traditions, our spiritualities have been lost because of this. And I know it has a lot to do with American influence, but that is not our story, especially for the Africans who we've been here all our life. Yes, we can empathize because we've all gone through some form of colonization, slavery, being segregated. But especially as a Kenyan woman, I think we should focus on us. I think we should focus on not integration yet with a larger society, but integration with ourselves, understanding of ourselves and our culture.
People who look like me are the real Americans. Because if you think about it, if black people are African because their race evolved in Africa, and white people are European because their race evolved in Europe, and yellow people are Asian because their race evolved in Asia, and that means people who look like me are American because our race evolved in America. Our race is native to this continent. Therefore, we as a unit are indigenous. Our race is native, right? We are the real Americans. Now, people they refer to the USA as just America in and of itself, but the whole thing's America, North and South. We're the real Americans. That's not like, I'm not trying to be like racially supremacist or like, this isn't hate speech. This is just me applying the same rules and terminology the way we do with all the other races and continents. That's just reality. And it should matter to you if you're someone who's Latino and you have mixed indigenous ancestry, because a lot of these people at the border, a lot of these people that are like refugees from all these horrible places in South America that have been ruined by like the USA and stuff, those are indigenous people, right? If you come from an immigrant family in the US from somewhere in Latin America, you got screwed over because you're indigenous. It's that, like, that's crazy. We're the real Americans that are being treated like outsiders, immigrants. And if you didn't understand that already, that's all I wanted to say to help you understand that.